The winter is the most difficult time of the year to stay healthy. You can't go anywhere without someone coughing and sneezing all over you, and sickness feels inevitable. As a former nutrition student, these are the steps that I follow to eat healthy while being on a budget and to not sacrifice my enjoyment. When I'm deciding on what kind of meal I'm going to cook for the week, first thing I decide is what protein I want, what protein I fancy, what protein source. This can be vegetarian. So I usually go for meat, but sometimes I go for a veggie meal and enjoy it just as much, to be honest. But each time you need to ensure you're covering the basics. Protein sources are split into two categories. There's high biological value proteins, HBV, or low biological value proteins, LBV. Your meats are all HBV. They contain all the essential amino acids, so cover what you need in your diet. Whereas vegetarian sources of protein, most of them are LBV. Some are cover more amino acids, whereas most of them are LBV. However, you can have a what's called a complementary meal, or sources that are complementary to each other, and a meal containing those complementary sources of the amino acids, and combine them together to create a meal that's suitable for your diet and covers all the amino acids. So that's the main thing when choosing a protein to consider. Are you going to be hitting, especially if you're a vegetarian or having a vegetarian meal, are you going to be getting all the amino acids you need in your diet? Maybe you have one vegetarian meal in the day and one meat source of protein in the evening for dinner, and that would cover your amino acid requirement. So I'll go for, say, beef mince, nice and easy, and then I'll make a meal around that. And that's kind of the first thing I do. What do I fancy? What meat do I fancy? What did I not have last week to keep it exciting? And what can I afford? So I'm not going to get premium, organic, free range venison because I can't afford it as a student and it's unrealistic and also harder to source. Whereas beef mince is not too cheap as meat goes, but it is fairly cheap. And then just a little side note on that, it's important to get other things that you need to get from meat sources. So your omega-3 from your oily fish as well is really important. Tip number 2, have go-to veg. So these are vegetables that you can put in your weekly bulk cooking meal. Say you're going to make 7 portions of something for all 7 days of the week. This is 3 vegetables that you're going to put in that meal, that bulk meal, every week. Or at least you don't have to stick to that, but those are ones that takes the decision off your mind. You know you're going to put 3 vegetables in and you're going to get the vitamins that you need from those vegetables every week, and it takes the decision out of your mind. So I've got some examples here. Just they're very standard vegetables, are in everything. So you've got your onions, or alternatives such as shallots or spring onions, or leeks. Sorry, almost forgot about leeks. Tomatoes are in everything. Carrots and celery. So they're used in a lot of cooking to make like a soufflés or whatever, really. And they're a good base for sauces. So you can pretty much fit them into anything, and they're pretty neutral and they won't take over your whole meal. So those are ones I usually use in my food. And then that means you're hitting every day, if you've got the portioning correct, you're going to be hitting 3 of your 5 a day, which I know is apparently 8 a day or whatever now. But just to hit a certain amount of vitamins and minerals in your diet, you're going to be wanting to eat 3 pieces just without even thinking about it. And then that makes it easy to have an apple, have a banana, have whatever, and then you've got 5 a day. Easy. It's important to know the difference in just very basic with vitamins, you've got fat soluble and water soluble vitamins. Fat soluble vitamins stay in your body for longer because they aren't dissolved in water and they don't come out in your urine. Water soluble vitamins come out in your urine, and so that is vitamins B, all the B vitamins, and vitamin C. So that's why it's, when you've got a cold, vitamin C strengthens your immune system. It's important to be having vitamin C sources throughout the day, or even before you get ill, as this is how to eat healthy. Constantly supplementing yourself with vitamin C throughout the day in your diet. So, for example, I was making this video, and I was planning this video last week actually, and then I fell ill at the weekend, and I thought it was quite ironic because one of my points in my video were going to be, this is how I stayed healthy and how I haven't been ill so far in my 4 months of working in London and commuting every day and waking up early and not sleeping very much. This is how I haven't been ill yet. And then I fell ill, so it was almost like God or whatever power wanted me to fall ill. So, fell ill, and I was ill at work the other day, and on the way to work I got myself an orange juice, and I don't usually get myself soft drinks or anything while I'm out, so I'm trying to save money, but I got myself an orange juice, got myself brought in 2 satsumas to work, and then I also had 1 satsuma from work because they buy fruit every week, which is quite nice. So throughout the day, I had my orange juice on the way on the commute. I had a satsuma at 10 a.m, 1 at 2, and 1 at 4, and that just kept me topped up with my vitamin C all throughout the day. And then I felt better the next morning, and I got rid of this cold within 3 days, which is pretty good. Even though I felt horrible on Tuesday. And I still don't feel 100%, but I've kept up with that vitamin C. So that's just an example of using your knowledge of fat soluble versus water soluble vitamins to carry that forward into your life and just be consciously thinking about that. And just for clarity, your fat soluble ones are A, D, and E, and K. Everyone knows vitamin D you get from the sun, for example, and vitamin A is really important as well. You can get that in stuff like milk and other dairy animal products quite easily. Thirdly, when I'm making my meal, I've already got pretty much the base of my sauce and my meat at this point. So this might be a chili con carne, for example. Now I don't know why, that's just one of my favorite meals to be making at the moment. Or this might be pulled chicken and roasted veg on the side. So now I've got to think, what kind of carb am I going to have with this? And this can be anything. It's usually what kind of culturally goes with that, or what I kind of feel like at the same time. So with chili con carne, it would be rice. And with my pulled pork example, that might be rice or some kind of bread, or I don't know, wherever you fancy really. So that's more up to you and not as big of a deal. I don't go too in depth because personally I'm not a huge fan of like whole wheat pasta, and so I just think it's a bit boring. I enjoy white pasta, for example, more. So that's where the enjoyment also comes in. And then my next step is make it yummy, make it nice, use spices, use flavorings, herbs. Make sure to use salt. Everyone, I don't know why, these are 3 things everyone was always scared of when I was younger. It was salt, sugar, and fat. And while in excess, none of them are good for you, you need them. And I think that made everyone think, oh my God, I can go on this fat-free diet or this sugar-free diet, and it's just not good for you, because you need them for your body processes, and you need to regulate them more than protein, rather than your macronutrients like protein, carbohydrates, and unsaturated fat. Saturated fat, for example, you've got to watch out for. So make it yummy. Add those three: sugar, fat, salt, just a little bit, to make your meal complete. So in your Asian inspired stir fry, you might add a bit of soy sauce, bit of MSG, and maybe a little bit of light brown sugar to make the sauce a bit sweeter. And then the biggest, most important tip number 5: increase the percentage chance that you're going to actually stick to your healthy food. So I can understand that it's difficult and junk food is way easier to choose, especially if you're out. I found it when I'm out and I'm hungry. It's hard to, even if I've got food at home, it's difficult to go back and know that I've got to cook. So the most important tip for avoiding junk food, one of them anyway, is having food ready in your fridge, conveniently ready to cook. Not cook, ready to reheat. 5 minutes in the microwave, bang, you've got a plate of food that's nice, that you enjoy, and is way healthier than takeaway. So I often have this problem when I'm walking on the way home from work in the evening on a Friday night, and there's a fish and chip shop literally 2 minutes down my road that do good fish and chips, and you can smell it as you go past. You're thinking, oh, I can't be bothered to do the cooking, I can't be bothered to wash up. But think about how much you're going to feel better about yourself if you've just eaten healthily, and you're not going to feel like, I can't say that, but feel like, feel bad, um, feel bad to be PG, and all bloated and whatnot after you eat that unhealthy food and then regret it because you spent money as well, extra money that you didn't need to. And then once you've kind of stopped having takeaway as much, I always find that if you completely stop it, if you have it once, it's very easy to fall back into the habit. So you need to make a deal with yourself whenever you're going to have takeaway, because it is good to have moderation, have it, because it's life for enjoyment as well. You only got one. I'm just waffling now. Uh, don't keep having takeaways over and over again. Just have the one. Be disciplined and keep your diet going. So those are my tips to stay healthy. These will help you plan a meal and then also stick to eating healthy and understand why and how to eat healthy, just as a broad overview, and giving you the key concepts. So thank you for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe if you made it this far. It's free, and I've put a lot of work into putting out videos, and I'm going to keep putting out videos along these kind of topics, because I think it's really key for people to eat healthy and live long lives and be around for as long as possible and see their family, see their friends, and enjoy life. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.